Welcome to Art and Soul Insider. I'm Barbara Lynn Burns, and I'm here to help you find your joy, your creativity, and calm through art and wellness. Whether it's exploring new supplies, guided meditations, or inspiring art projects, this is your space to recharge and create. So let's make more art and less stress together. Here we go. Welcome to part 2 of the, what did I call it? The Awakened Spring Tree. I really loved painting this. The drawing for me was very mindful. Whenever I do line work, it really does, I don't focus on anything else. I can't think of anything else. And I find when I do painting where I'm doing blends and stuff like that with the colors, I'm just there. And so, I hope when you are painting, you find yourself where you are just completely engrossed in your painting, that time just slips away. Because when the time slips away like that, that is kind of they call it being in the zone. And that's where you lose track of time. It just flows easily. And so that's my wish for you today when you do your colors, because I found that for myself and I really enjoyed it. Now, there's a lot of painting and the fact that, doing all those negative spaces. So what I'm going to do is I will fast forward everything. Because, painting's painting unless I'm trying to make a point about something or show you something. Then I'll slow it down to regular speed. You'll hear my voice and stuff like that, sharing with you because, good old art teacher, certified art teacher. It's just the way I am. I wanted to teach you. So, but I also want you to have a peaceful and grounding time. So enjoy your painting. Take a deep breath. And let's go. Let's go have some fun. But let's have a moment of quietening your mind and enjoying the process. Enjoy the journey. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work on the green here. Well, you don't see the green, but I'm going to make the grass green. But I'm going to do a technique called wet on wet, or I'm going to, where's my other little guy that I like? Look at, how many brushes do I have? And I'm looking for my other little brush that I like. Here it is. Okay. It's a little tinier than these guys. See that? So I'm thinking I'm going to go with this. This is a little too big. Even though the water will thin it down, this is a much nicer point. So I'm going to go with that. So here you still have to be careful when we're doing the wet on wet. You don't want necessarily the wet on wet to go in where we're going to be doing the gold. Because as I said, watercolors are transparent. You're going to get another color underneath. And it might change it. So do your best to paint. Now I'm going to use very specific colors. I've got a big palette here. I'm not going to just go and paint with all of them. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a Winsor blue. Okay, just added some water there. So here's my Winsor blue. I'm going to be using, oops, I got tape attached to that. I'm going to be using the Winsor red. I'm going to stick with the Winsors. And I'll explain what I'm going to use next. And then I'm going to use the Winsor yellow. Like I said, I'm going to stick with the Winsors today. So with that, then I'm going to introduce, let's just do it this way. Now, I'm going to introduce the Prussian blue, makes a really nice purple with this quinacridone magenta. I really like those two together. So there's my Prussian blue. It's dark, okay? So Prussian blue. Then here is my quinacridone magenta. I love this color. So I'm going to put it over here just for safety's sake. And I'm going to just also introduce the violet. It's not a big jump between the magenta and the violet, but I'm going to add it because I'm thinking I would like it with this purple that I'm going to create with the Prussian. There we go. That was giving me a hard time trying to open it. This is the violet. Yes, violet. There. I'm going to keep these close by because I might need more of these guys, right? So, green. So with the green, I'm going to be mixing my Windsor yellow with my Windsor blue. Trying to not knock over things, right? So here and here. The beautiful thing is you can make variations of green because you don't have to bring in, I know I'll do this although it's not wet. You can create some beautiful greens by adding variations of the color. So you could have add a little bit more yellow, or you could add a little bit more blue, and you're going to create a variety of colors that way. So it's not just going to be green. So we're going to see, I'm going to just dip it in here and just see. Oh, need to dip more. Okay. Look at that green. Oh my gosh. Isn't that beautiful? I love these colors. Okay. So, wet on wet, I'm going to wet the area that I'm going to be painting on. So I'm going to start here and then work this way because I am right-handed. What's nice is having these little separators, these lines being thicker, right? Because we've made them double, like parallel lines together, that we're going to have space between one color and the next. So we're going to be able to paint the next color easy peasy. So here I go, taking my green. I'm going to be putting it in here. Okay, just like that. Just like that. And then I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. Really clean your brush off. Well, here's my yellow I'm going to be bringing in. Okay. Ooh, I made my wet on wet very wet. My brush is too wet almost. Yeah, sorry about that. See, it's just kind of sitting there. Yeah, too much paint. I'm not too much paint, too much water. There we go. I'm just going to let it lie. And I'm just going to extend it down to the bottom where that line is. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. Too much water. Okay, so let's try not to use as much water. So I'm going to dry my brush like that when I go in with the paint. I just got so excited, I just went for it, right? So you want to you want the paper wet, but you don't want it sopping, because it's going to take a long time for it to control dry. And I was thinking of control. You don't really have any control then. With it being a little bit drier, like your brush and everything, and your paper, I'll just have a little bit more ease in moving things along. So I'm going to take my green, make a little another little circle on my palette, and I'm going to add some blue in it. Or I could do some yellow and just say, okay, here on the outside, we'll do the green and then go in yellow. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to dry my brush. Okay. I'm going to go into the paint. I'm going to dry my brush again. See where I'm hitting it? Right in this area. You don't want to use your whole brush. You just want to go in that area. And then I'm just going to be putting the paint down. Much more control. And notice there's not as much paint. Remember, when watercolors dry, they're going to go as a lighter color. That's one thing that I'm not thrilled with watercolors, and the fact that when they do dry, to me it's almost a disappointment because they're not as vibrant as they were, right? So what I did with this other one is I kind of encouraged the green to come in here. You see? So right now it's like that, but I'm just kind of going to encourage it just to kind of come in like that. Right? So there's yellow, but interesting. It's kind of warping my paper. I don't want to bring it up to you, but I think you can see it. See how this is almost raised, and this is a divot, and this is raised, and that's a divot. Wow. It's almost like a consistent, very consistent. Interesting. I wonder, of how they made the paper. That's the thing. If you really want to do a special piece and you're using watercolors, then please use watercolor paper. Mixed media paper won't work. Well, it works. Oh my gosh, it works. But it's oh, I didn't wet my area. I'm going to try doing this without. Let's see how this works. Just like this. Bringing the paint in as wetting my area here. So remember, leave that space. You want that space, because otherwise what's going to happen is it's just going to flow. So remember, I made that little space of green. Made a little extra kind of, I'm going to take the Windsor blue. Oh, I took too much. Oh my gosh, yeah. And I'm just going to add it to that green. So it's a kind of, it's almost a teal that I have here. I'm going to add a little more green. Yeah. There we go. Watch. You really use the tip of your brush, right? Because that's going to pinpoint the paint to be in a certain area. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to take this paint and kind of do what I did here. Interesting how it really washed down. It's very interesting, to see how some paper reacts. And that's why also, if you're doing a special work, always play with the paper before you say, okay, I'm starting the work today. You want to know your materials well. And how do they react? How do they work with the paper? You know, how does the paper respond when you really add a whole bunch of water, right? How is it reacting? Because you don't want, especially if you're doing a special work for someone, you don't want any surprises when you're painting, right? You want to just go in, paint. Isn't that cool so far? Yeah. So the next part is we're going to do the negative spaces. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention with supplies, we're going to need black ink because we're going to outline everything. Like, so you have the gold, but we're going to outline stuff. It does make it kind of tidies things up where, you know, say you kind of, oh, I went over this line, right? It will kind of hides those little things like that. I'm going to do some blue here. A little bit of blue. So what am I using? I have two choices of blue. I have the Windsor blue, and then here is the Prussian blue. I'm going to wet the Prussian blue so you can see it. Okay, it's a very cool, both are very cool blues. Do you see that? That's why I like them, I guess, so much. I really like cool. My preference is cool colors. So the greens, blues, purples, those type of things. Yet I love the vibrancy, the incredible vibrancy of the yellows and the reds. Oh my gosh, reds, there's some beautiful reds. Like, you know, that's why I'm bringing some of this quinacridone colors out. So the magenta. Oh no, this is the magenta and this is the violet. So, okay. Now, if I want a lighter color, I need to add water, but I'm wanting this to be a little more vibrant. So I'm going to be using the color really kind of more, yeah, in its vibrancy. So, yeah. Now, I don't want it this dark, so I'm going to introduce some, naturally some water. Now again, how do you change your blue? Well, you can change your blues by adding a purple, and you can change your blues by adding good old, you got purple, and then you got the greens on the other side. Oops, I went over my line. I went a little too rush. Yeah. The reason why I went rush is because I didn't do a wet on wet there. I did kind of a very quick kind of color there. So it's better to go slow and easy. So this is where I was thinking of doing the sponge because I was wanting a little lighter area in this area. So I'm just going to go like this and lift. Didn't lift too much. Didn't lift too much. I might get some, oh shoot, my brush is wet. I don't want to get any blossoms, but I think I'm going to get them. Ooh, look at that. Oh, it's a beautiful purple. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to bring it over to you so you can see. So this is the Windsor blue with the quinacridone magenta. Yeah. So I'm going to do just this small section here. I keep hitting my camera, so I'm sorry if I'm bouncing you around. So I'm going to make a little more of a purple noticeable here. I'm really just playing and putting colors wherever. You can do the same. I mean, there doesn't have to be a true method to our madness here, you know. I just thought a blue would be here. And I'm going to actually put kind of a blue here just to kind of set it up. And I'm going to put some more vibrant colors. I'm going to be bringing in the yellows and yeah. So that's what my thoughts are. We'll see. Sometimes I change it, right? You know, I go, no, you know what? This is what I want. And you need to allow yourself. Don't be so set on what you're going to do that you sometimes bypass something that could be amazing, right? So sometimes if you're at that quandary that you say, oh, I'm going to do this now, you have two choices. You can do that at that moment, or you could hold off, write it down on a piece of paper or something like that, what you were going to do, and then recreate kind of the image or start a brand new image. Well, that's what you would be doing if you're recreating. But what I'm saying is do it so that you kind of will come out with a brand new piece. Yeah, so there's two options. Again, you could change and add your new idea right then and there, or you could hold on and do a brand new piece after that one. So then you could test your visual out how you want it to be. I accidentally did some splatter here. I don't know what happened, but my bristles kind of went, and I'm going to show you. You might not be able to see right now. So I'm bringing in, this one's a purpley blue. You see, this is the purple, huh? And that's with that quincrodian, I just butcher that name, magenta, and that Windsor blue. Isn't that beautiful? I just think it is. That's just... Purple is a very hard color to make. And years ago, purple was a sign of royalty. The reason why it was a sign of royalty, it was that because, well, only a few people could afford to hire someone to take all that time just to do dyeing. So, and it was usually the royalty that was able to do that. The regular folk, they were busy surviving. So I'm going to do the blue over here. Now, I hate moving it while it's wet, but here's the little splatters there. Very small. Ooh, I'm not going to do that again. I don't like doing that when it's wet. Sorry. Okay. Let's go back to the blue again. Okay. I'm going to wet this area. Now, my water gets kind of dirty, and I mean, I'm sure your water does too, but mine, I kind of have to, oh shoot, I went past that line. I'm going to have to wait doing the blue here. The reason why I'm going to have to wait doing the blue is because my brush accidentally flipped from me and it went into the line area. We don't want that because this is still wet, this green. And if I did the blue, it would travel right through that line and into that green. And there's nothing wrong with the blue and the green, you know, because that's what we used. But I don't want that to happen. So I'm just going to leave that. And yeah, I'm just going to put... Oh, I did that again. Look at that. I'm struggling today. No, I'm not. I try to speak nice, good words to myself when I'm painting. A lot of times we can be very hard on ourselves when we're when things don't work out, right? You just, oh, I can't believe I made that mistake. Yeah, I try and use my painting time as a time for me to be encouraging, to be loving with myself. Oh my God, I had a little hair there. And just because I found when I was learning to paint and everything like that, I could be very hard on myself. I am a recovering perfectionist, and ugh, that's a lot of effort. That's a lot of not being the kindest towards yourself if you made mistakes, right? So with the painting, that's what I try and be, is a little kinder with myself, because it's so easy to be hard on ourselves. We can and just judge ourselves, every step of the way, and with everything that, no one else would maybe see it in our artwork, but we see it and it's just blazing. And so, have you ever done that when someone says, oh, I love this. Look at what, it's so pretty. Oh, but look at here, see, I messed that up. They didn't even notice. So you have to be, just let it go, right? It's easier said than done. But if you can take your time, the time that you have when you're painting, to be encouraging to yourself, and just give yourself a pat on the back for, everything that you're doing. Because we need to, there's a thing called in psychology about the inner child. And the inner child, we all have our inner child. And this inner child has some hurts. Growing up, we had some situations that made us sad, made us scared, made us feel very alone. I shouldn't work with it. Whoops. You see, I get sometimes painting happy. And so I go, oh, I want more color there. Just let it sit. Because what I could have done there is possibly introduce another blossom. And what a blossom is forced paint or forced water, and it creates little kind of edgy stuff, very much like broccoli, like that in your paint. So you want to make sure, especially wet on wet, you kind of do it and you leave it. So going back to your inner child, it's a time for you to just kind of put the weapons down and just focus on telling yourself, I am going to be kind to myself. I'm going to say kind words. That type of thing, where you are just being as kind as you can to yourself. We have to take care of ourselves, and one way is to actually take care of that inner child that you have, because everyone has gone through stuff as a child. There's been some things where we might not have felt loved, or been sad, or there could have been abuse or whatever. Just some things that just where we were kind of left out to dry by ourselves. And there is therapy for that, and thank goodness for that. But we can do something as well. And that's what I'm saying about the self-talk. Let this time and this place be a place where you're good to yourself. because you're being good to yourself by taking the time away from the world. You're giving yourself this time to just be and to play. Yeah, I encourage you to look at this and say, what colors can I create? You know, this is exciting. Like, what kind of things can I do? Oh, see, there's a little stuff happening here, there. Yeah, I don't think I touched that. Maybe I did. Yes, because I brought it around like that. You also have to watch out with your brush. You know, there's liquid in here, and you could get a drop of water accidentally by moving your brush like this, and you could get blossoms that way. Oh, interesting. Got a hard line there. Wasn't expecting that. Okay, we're just going to let it go for now. We might go back and do a glaze over it so it smooths over. No worries. You see how I did that? Yeah, okay. There's an issue here. I don't like it, but yeah, we can work it out. There's always options. So, yeah, just really be good to yourself. Yeah, so I wanted it lighter in the here, so I'm going to maybe have to change my tactic a little bit. I thought I could lift it while it was still wet, but I think I might have to do more a dry lift. And I'll show you. I might not want to do it, but if I choose to do it, I will for sure show you how I'm doing it. Now, I'm going to bring some yellow in here. Oh, I'm just going to bring it in like this, right with my brush being wet. It's a little bit of purple dots in there, but we'll deal with it. That's not an issue. Yeah. You know, my wish for you is that this time you can find a place to breathe, to be gentle with yourself, that you just have moments that you get to find pleasure and joy in your creations. And, you know, to me, that's part of life, is the joy that we can feel, right? I want to make sure I'm getting my Windsor red. Yeah. That's the thing with such a big palette. Sometimes you really don't see what you're getting. Okay, I've got a little bit of an orange here. So I'm going to bring the orange in. It's kind of doing some play in here. I'm going to bring some yellow in there, because the paper is warping, this one. So what I'm wanting to do is kind of encourage, put a drop of water there. Just trying to encourage the paper to kind of do a little bit more of a blend, because it's not really doing that. It's because it's creating these real like divots. Very interesting. Yeah. Wasn't expecting that from this paper. But that's the thing, is it's discovery, right? So next time, if I'm wanting to do wet on wets and kind of that type of stuff, well, then I have to be careful. So look at what's happening here. This is a very neat thing. Very, very cool. I like it a lot, actually. So there has been some moisture somehow, so it might have been a drop of water, because I don't remember touching that. I remember going in here and working with that. But look at that. So something's coming in here, some wetness, and it's pushed all the pigment, you see, on the edge there. That's very cool. That's a bubble, a blossom. That's a bubble. Another option you could have done too with this is use salt, and you could have gotten some really neat effects in the wetness. But I just kind of wanted to make it a little simple, a little fun here. I'm going to do here, I'm just going to kind of carry that through here. So this color, this orange, was made with Windsor yellow and Windsor red. I'll have to maybe see how the quinacridone magenta would look with the yellow. There we go, got rid of the bubble. There was a bubble there and it wasn't letting go. And so I'm going to go a little like in here. And I'm going to bring some red in. Oh boy, this is really wet. Holy Barbara. So I'm using my brush. I'm drying my brush. And so I'm going to use my brush. See, as a sponge. It just sucked it up. So it's not that wet. So I'm going to suck that up there. There we go. I'm going to bring in some orange. And hopefully those two will mix a little bit. There we go. That's going to be a nice mixture. Yeah. You see how that pigment is it's pooling there. Right there. So I got a really dense colors there. And that's what happened here. You see I had a little pool here, a pool there, pool there, pool there. Very interesting. Oh, we got some blossoms on this one here. Gotta watch my, see? Right in there, right in here. We can take care of those. I'm going to show you how. Okay, let's do the blue again. Just be careful with your lines, right? Oh, went too fast. I get that habit sometimes. I just want to do a nice big brush stroke and I just take it too far, too fast, right? Should I do a yellow here? I'm thinking of maybe kind of going boop, boop, boop. Or should I just mix it up? I think I'm going to mix it up. Yeah, don't want it all, I don't want it to look symmetrical because this is not symmetrical at all. But there's a sense of unity because of the colors I'm using. I'm using kind of a very, very minimal palette as such. So what I'm going to do now is just be quiet and paint. Now, if I come up with something in my head, which I usually do, I'll let you know.